Welcome. It's great to see everyone. We're here tonight to chat about our wonderful and very successful Excalibur Rowing program. My name's Deborah Bright-Brundle, and I'm the Director of Athletics, and it's a pleasure to be joined tonight by our Excalibur Rowing head coach, James Dyer. James, welcome.
Thanks very much.
You've been on the water today?
Bunch, yeah, all morning. Just had our lunch break.
Good. And we have two of our amazing student athletes. We have Grace Vandenbroek. Grace, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
And Chidozie. And Chidozie, I'm going to also ask you what year you're in and what program you're in.
Hi, I'm Chidozie. I'm in business administration, specializing in entrepreneurship, and I'm going into second year.
Great. And Grace, what program are you in as well?
I'm also in business administration and getting a minor in mathematics, and I'm going into my third year.
That is amazing. Grace, I remember when it was your first year. It's amazing how quickly the time is going by. For those of you who are joining us on our social media platforms, we have an amazing rowing program that goes back 50 years. We have an outstanding partnership with the Peterborough Rowing Club and also the Trent student-based club, the Trent University Rowing Club. So with that, we've had success over the years. But we want to share a little bit about the depth and breadth of the program that we have. So James, I'm just going to start with you and just ask sort of the role you play not only as the Excalibur head coach, but the role you play with the Peterborough Rowing Club.
Yeah, so it's been tradition. All of our head coaches have been shared between the Trent University Rowing Club and the Peterborough Rowing Club. And it really helps, the coach of the Peterborough Rowing Club already knows the athletes from Turk and vice versa. And so athletes who are rowing for Trent, say they start in novice in the fall and don't really know where to go after that, it makes it really easy for us to say, well, you're rowing with us in the summer.
That must be great to have that crossover and that carryover and that sort of seamless involvement with rowing.
It does. It helps quite a bit. It sets them up, varsity and novices alike to A, make selections in the coming year, and B, it sort of just roots them in the city. It makes it a lot of fun.
That's great. And through the partnership we have with the Peterborough Rowing Club, Trent Athletics, and Trent University Rowing Club, Trent has been named, was one of the 5 national Rowing Canada's Next Generation Hub. And with that transition, I'm going to turn to Grace and just tell us about what it's like to not only row for Trent Excalibur, but also to be a Next Generation Rowing Canada athlete as well.
Yeah, no, it's pretty easy to switch from both, and we often train in the same groups. And the hub in Trent and Peterborough really allows the whole team to take that next step up in our development and challenge us in the training that we're doing, but also opens up some doors for lots of people who may not have had those opportunities. Yeah. So I've been very lucky that I've been in this program for a while, and yeah.
Well, it's great. And you mentioned earlier when we started that you're home this summer. Some summers you haven't. You've been traveling internationally with as a member of the Rowing Canada's delegations. Tell us about one of those international experiences.
Yeah, so I guess my first time rowing for Canada, I was 17, and I went to Trakai, Lithuania with a girl named Kiana Stevens from BC. And it was so changed my experience of rowing and that extremely high level and competing every day with your teammates. And we were very fortunate. We brought home a bronze medal from that world. So
that's awesome. Well, that is just amazing. It's always wonderful to put on the green and white, but also to put on our nation's colors. So James, back to you, just to sort of give us a sense of the breadth of the program from novice. So how does someone get involved with the rowing program when they're coming to Trent that may not have had that rowing experience previously?
Yeah, we like to think we make it pretty easy to do that, actually. So Trent Rowing is welcoming to anyone who has rowed before as a junior in high school. And we love to have those walk-ons come in and know how to row right away and hopefully shoot for a varsity spot. But you don't necessarily have to have rowed before either. In the first week, typically, while athletes are participating in orientation week, we'll hold a series of tryouts where we'll see upwards of 200 people come in and try out for the team. We'll take as many as we can, fielding them all in eights. So the biggest crew boat we can row, and they'll, within 4 weeks, we get them race ready, and they'll head down the course ahead of the Trent.
So Chidozi, sort of not having rowing initially on your sport radar screen, but then having a great experience with the novice program. What did that do? Like, did you meet different people? Was that team experience? How did that really change your experience coming to Trent?
Yeah, it changed my experience coming to Trent because I met a lot of great people. I've formed a lot of good friendships. Like, the community is great. Yeah, and like I just feel good like after like every practice, even though like I'd have to wake up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, so for those non-rowers, so pretty early mornings out on the water, out on our beautiful Otonabee River, is that right? So 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. start?
Yeah.
Now, do you get used to that?
Oh yeah, I got used to it like after a while, yeah.
Well, great.
What did you say? It takes about a week, eh, Dozy?
More than that.
Well, you know what, it is amazing to see the boats out that early and our student athletes and coaches out that early, and James and Grace and Chidozi, we had a great year with Trent rowing at OUs and CUs. This year's going to be a little different. We're all dealing with the pandemic and COVID-19, and of course, safety and health are our number one priorities. But we are looking to do some return to train for our rowers. James, do you want to just tell us what this year looks like from a rowing perspective and the return to train protocols?
Yeah, it's certainly been a busy summer trying to get ready, and you know, it's sort of a coach's prerogative to look at everything and only see silver linings and try and get what you can out of it. But I really do think that this year there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of chance to take some of the things that we don't necessarily get to work on in the very quick university season. The season is typically only about 2 months, and we're at nationals. So we're going to head out in singles. We're really fortunate as a sport we always have singles to fall back on. The oars, you have at least 2 meters on each end of the oar. So you're guaranteed to socially distance or physically distance. And you're also guaranteed to learn something in the single. So that's what we'll be doing. And there might be a little bit of flipping for all of the novices that are looking to make varsity spots, but that's okay. That's how you learn fastest.
Yeah, and it is going to be different, but we look forward to seeing all of our student athletes back, those that are returning to campus and the Peterborough area. And Grace, from your end, sort of how do you view this year? You've had some great experiences both on the varsity and both the national and international perspective. How are you viewing this sort of development return from a varsity perspective, return to train perspective?
Yeah, I actually think that the pandemic, although it's been devastating for lots of areas, there's kind of a silver lining in it, in that it's opened up our opportunities for training a little bit in the single. Hopefully, maybe we don't have to wake up at 5 every morning to train. We can maybe do some afternoon practices if there's no classes running. But yeah, I'm really excited to get back and to see lots of people and see the development of everybody, how they come back and how they adapt to it, because rowing a single is very different from what we usually do in the Trent season. So I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Great, and because now you're going into year 3, it's amazing how the time goes by. what would you say to a potential student athlete who's looking at the Trent Excalibur program? What would you share with them as some of your experiences?
I would say go for it 100%. I've met some of my closest friends through the Excalibur program and my roommates and everything. So and everyone I've talked to through it, they all made the same friends and connections that will help you later through. So absolutely do it.
Great. And Chidozi, to you as well, sort of, what would you say to someone who doesn't necessarily know a lot about the sport of rowing and is questioning, should I go out to be part of the novice program? Again, under different parameters, safe and cautious parameters with return to train, but what would you say to that person thinking about coming out from a novice perspective?
Yeah, like okay, like yeah, I haven't rowed before in my life before, like this year. So I just tell them like, if they show up with like grit and perseverance, like, and the coaches will do the rest of them.
Great. I love that grit, perseverance. And James, I think that was a really nice connection back to you. Great, positive coaches. And what would you say, James, as you've been a rower with Trent, you've moved through the coaching ranks, you're a head coach, you're doing an outstanding job. What would you say to some potential student athletes who are thinking about rowing, whether they're already going to be coming to Trent or someone who's watching this and wants to know a bit more about the Trent program?
Yeah, well, first of all, I hope they do give us a go. It's one of those experiences that will completely change your university experience. You can show up to a university and you may literally not know a soul. And you have to go through that process of finding friends. You have to go through that process of learning where everything is, what courses you want to take, all of that sort of stuff. And the thing I always say to someone in high school thinking about rowing is you come to a team of upwards of 50 when we have novices included, 70 people who are either probably doing the same course as you or have done the same courses as you. And we're almost guaranteed to have someone in your program already on the team, someone in your residence on the team. You're immediately thrust into this great big community that's going to accept you straight away. So do it. It'll jumpstart your university career, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Great. And so on that note, I'm going to save the last few questions for our student athletes. So I always like to ask this question: what's the thing you like most about your sport? So Chidozi, what's the thing you like most about rowing?
I just love the rush when I'm in a race. Like, it just feels good when I'm like out there, like in the water, just like racing, like especially at OUAs where like there are loads of people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Grace, what's your favorite thing about your sport of rowing?
I have to say there's two things. When you get out on the water and they're just perfect conditions and you can see the sun rise and there's fog on the water and you're out there with your teammates and you're working hard, and nothing beats that. And then also racing and seeing all your hard work pay off, because a lot of the season is just you training against yourself, which can get really hard, but seeing the work, how it pays off, it's why we keep coming back. That's
great. And then I'm going to ask one last question and then we'll close out. But again, back to Grace and Chidozi, you've talked a lot about your own experiences. What's our coaches like? So Grace, I know you deal with our Excalibur coaches, but you also have Carol Love, your next gen hub coach. So what are your coaches like? Share those experiences.
Yeah, you end up having a very interesting relationship with your coach and you're very close. Carol has coached me for the last 5 years and James for the last 2.5, 3. They get to know you kind of almost scary well. They can tell by the way you walk into the club if it's going to be a good practice, if it's not, how you're feeling. And so just building those relationships, and it becomes a almost a partnership, and that you are both working towards the same goal. And you're both doing everything in your power to get the boat going as fast as possible.
Great. And Chidozi, you've already mentioned we got a great experience with our coaches, but how did the coaches motivate you coming into this sport?
Well, like my coach was like Dan for my novice season. Yeah, he pushed us like hard. Like we most practices we like run to get our cardio up, and then he'd like make us do drills over and over so we can perfect them. So like yeah, he was a really fun coach to have.
Well, that's great. Well, you know what, one of the best things about my job as the director of athletics is I get to share these types of experiences and see the success that you guys are having as our student athletes and coach and wearing the green and white so proudly. So I want to thank you all, not just for being here tonight, but what you do so well to represent the Trent Excalibur and yourselves. You always do an amazing job. And tonight's another example of that for you guys to take this time and to really share those experiences. So if I can, on behalf of not just myself, but the whole university, thank you guys for what you do.